Hey guys, it is Julie here with JT.Wealth. In today's video, we are going over one of everyone's favorite stocks, Workhorse. So let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome back and thank you so much for being here today. It has been almost 2 weeks since our last Workhorse video, so we just wanted to take a chance to bring everybody up to speed on what's been going on with Workhorse and where their stock is at today. So in today's video, we are going to discuss if it's too late to buy Workhorse stock now, what is going on with the USPS contract, which big fund is buying up more Workhorse shares, what's going to happen with the Workhorse stock price if they do or if they don't get the USPS contract, and when can we expect that USPS contract to be announced. First off though, this is just a reminder to please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. We have grown so much lately and it is incredibly appreciated. And now the next big milestone I really want to break is that 10,000 subscriber mark, and I need your support to do it. So please take a second and consider hitting that subscribe button. If you like the video as well, consider giving us a big thumbs up too. And don't forget to check out the link for my Patreon group, which is down below in the description as well. It is growing every single week and everyone is sharing really great insight and having some fun discussions regarding the market. One of the recent conversations has been around aftermarket trading. So if you're looking to take advantage of those aftermarket hours or some of those pre-market hours as well. And if you're looking into this, you should check out Webull, which I have a link down below in my description. And for signing up, you'll get one free stock after depositing your initial $100, and you're able to trade from 4 a.m. till 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so let's chat if it is too late to buy Workhorse stock. We know that it has been an incredible year for Workhorse this far, rising from just mere dollars over 1,600% to their recent highs of $30, which has a lot of people wondering if they've already missed the boat and if it's too late to get into Workhorse. Well, with Workhorse being down over 11% today, I would say that this dip is a great time to buy. With that being said though, if your outlook is long-term on Workhorse, there really isn't a bad time to buy lately. That being said, let's take a look at some of the catalysts that are being used to value Workhorse and some of the institutional money that has been pouring into the stock too. On September 21st, Investopedia put out an article titled The Top Car Stocks for Q4 2020. And in that article, Workhorse is listed among the car stocks with the most momentum. At a price of $26.82, they had a market cap of $2.8 billion, and their 12-month trailing total return was 698.2%, putting them ahead of NIO. Now, everyone who watches Workhorse is eagerly awaiting the announcement of the USPS contract, and I'm going to touch back on the expected timing of that near the end of the video. But what is really important as well is we know that they are one of 3 companies in the bidding for this big contract. So on everyone's mind is what percentage, if any, are they going to get? People are feeling pretty good that we should get at least 50% plus of this contract. And that would be worth about 50% of the $6.3 billion that everyone has been mentioning for the value of this contract. Well, almost everyone, up until recently when we started hearing a new number floating around. And that new number was brought up by Craig Irwin, who is an analyst with Roth Capital. Now, he thinks the USPS contract could be worth closer to $8 billion. Considering that this was originally announced back in 2015, there are a few considerations that need to be made. And those considerations not only include inflation over those last 5 years, but just some of the technological advances and upgrades that we've seen in the EV space. And with those in mind, Craig Irwin thinks that that $6.3 billion is more likely going to look around that $8 billion mark once it is awarded. Now, this would make a lot of sense as some people were concerned at the $6.3 billion mark and the amount of vehicles that the contract is expecting to be manufactured. It left very little or no margin of profit for Workhorse on that per vehicle cost. So at $8 billion, we have a much healthier margin there, and it makes a lot more sense from the numbers point. But what if Workhorse does not get a portion of this USPS contract? Well, EV is one of the brightest growth industries on the market today. And while a lot of companies are still in the blueprinting and conceptualizing phase of their run into the EV market, Workhorse has had a working EV vehicle on the road for years, purchased by some big companies like UPS. Not only do their last mile EV delivery trucks run, but this is the company who designed the W15, which is now branded by Lordstown Motors as the Endurance. So Workhorse is a company whose R&D is well ahead of their times. The reference to Lordstown Motors is important as Workhorse stands to make a good amount of money off of Lordstown's successful SPAC merger, bringing the company public, and the start of mass production on those endurance trucks. Workhorse has a 10% equity stake in Lordstown, including any money raised through the SPAC. They're going to get 5% of the first 6,000 units sold by Lordstown, and then another 1% on the next 194,000 units from Lordstown. Now take into consideration their partnerships with both Ryder and Hitachi. So for Ryder, they will be offering their C-Series through its Choice Lease and Select Care product lines, as well as for short-term rentals. And through their agreement with Hitachi, they will do an assessment of Workhorse's manufacturing, supply chain, and increased production requirements, helping Workhorse to be increasingly efficient and successful at meeting those increased production needs. So remember, regardless of the USPS contract, the long-term demand for those last mile delivery vehicles is estimated at 350,000 per year, representing an estimated annual addressable market of over $18 billion. In an article by Christiana S. on investing.com, the big bucks are yet to come. A big part of why shares have rallied so much is that Workhorse submitted one of 3 proposals for a U.S. Postal Service contract worth about $6.3 billion. That is expected to be awarded by the end of the year. But even if they don't get the award, Workhorse Chief Financial Officer Steve Schrader says he is not worried. The post office is transforming, obviously, but I like our business even without it, Schrader said in a phone interview. Michael Schlisky, a senior equity research analyst at Colliers International, is the lone analyst with a hold rating on Workhorse. 4 others say buy, and he agrees with Schrader. Some portion of the run-up is due to the fact that they might win the USPS contract, Schlisky said in a phone interview, but we still think it's a great company whether or not they get the contract. Lastly, I think it's possible we start to see some headway on these last mile delivery vehicles utilizing drones to complete delivery. And Workhorse really has a leg up in that department, having their own delivery drones. Again, Workhorse CFO said, finally, there is Workhorse's drone, which is linked to trucks and sets them apart. And while Amazon and Walmart have been testing drone delivery from fixed locations, Workhorse has the only patent for drones taking off from trucks. Since the Federal Aviation Administration has limited the distance drones can fly, those that can take off from a truck have a leg up. So with or without the USPS contract, I think Workhorse is set up for some long-term success regardless. And there is one institutional investor that I think agrees, and that is none other than Cathie Wood from ARK Invest. Now, Cathie Wood has been investing in Workhorse shares inside of the ARK-Q ETF. So this is the Autonomous Technology and Robotics. And inside of this ETF, there are only 2 EV companies, and that includes just Tesla and Workhorse. Now, on August 21st this year, the fund held about 547,000 shares of Workhorse, representing a weighting of 1.67% of that fund. Now, fast forward 1 month to September 22nd, and that position has increased to 649,000 shares. So that's an additional 100,000 shares, and now equates to 3.13% weighting. As someone who really respects Cathie Wood's investment style, I take this as a really good sign for Workhorse. Now finally, on to the timing expectations for when the USPS contract will be announced. There have been a wide range of expectations on the date for this. A lot of people were estimating by the end of September based on different factors, some of them being that that is their fiscal year end, but there was really no indication that that would be a driver for this announcement. The other theory I've seen people float around is that it would be 90 days after the RFP, or the request for pricing, which was that bid deadline that was on July 14th. 90 days would put us at October 14th for the announcement. However, that 90 days was just described as a response period, and in contract bidding, that typically just means that is a period in which both companies can go back and forth requesting different information or clarification, etc. The only real word that we've heard from USPS directly on the timing is that it is expected to be announced by the end of the year, as seen here in a statement from the agency in an article on trucks.com. Now, I highlight this as a way for you to really set realistic expectations and understand your time frame for your investment in Workhorse. Of course, a September announcement would be amazing, but if we don't have an announcement by the end of September or even by mid-October, we likely will see a bit of a sell-off from some of those shorter-term investors just not willing to wait it out. So if you just set those longer-term expectations that it could be the end of the year until we hear an announcement, that way you won't be disappointed and maybe you'll get a surprise sooner. So those are my updates on Workhorse stock. I think we're still sitting in a really good position. It's still a good time to get in on that stock, and we just now sit patiently awaiting news on that big USPS contract. I have continued to buy Workhorse shares all along the last few months, most recently purchasing a few today when we were down about 9%. But how about you guys? What are your thoughts on Workhorse? Are you still buying new shares, and how high do you think that this can go? Leave a comment down below. You know, I always love hearing from you guys. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, make sure you give us a big thumbs up and that you're subscribed to the channel as well. Thank you guys so much for watching and have an awesome day. Cheers.